Have you ever been to Little Man Ice Cream?
Yeah, but I'm a curmudgeon with like lines and stuff. So
Oh, really?
I'll go like in the winter when no one's there.
But it's
very
never too
good.
cold for ice cream, for
Exactly.
sure, for me.
I fully agree.
Yeah, I think we do have a lot in common, actually. We've been finding that out. Curmudgeon and lines, though. I thought, my whole take was, I thought that was a good intro for like a first date. I thought it was like a good, because you're getting to know each other while you're in the line. I mean, I like talking, and I know some people are like, oh, that sounds like a nightmare. Would that be something you would hate as a first date?
Yeah.
Going to some place where there's a big line, like a brunch or something too.
Oh, I hate brunch.
You hate brunch?
I hate
You
brunch.
hate eggs?
Yeah, okay. When I'm hungover, yes, I'm not good with eggs, but I worked at a brunch spot and it just ruined everything for me.
Oh,
Like,
interesting. I worked at a brunch spot.
do you know the law? Are we recording?
Yeah, it's going.
I worked at a place where if more than 5 people got bottomless mimosas, they would get a tower, which was literally just like a fucking cut PVC pipe.
Was it Snooze?
Filled.
No.
It was the lobby.
Okay.
Down the street from Snooze. And you just see versions of people
Come out.
that and they just camp out, and you only have so much of a section. And it's just like, yeah, like opening day was always crazy. But anyway, the lines thing, I think it might actually be good in the sense that you'd see people's true selves. Like there was a time when I was driving with an ex to the mountains and the traffic was so bad, and I don't even know what was going on in his head, but it was like he was thinking that he was pissed. And me talking to him was the worst thing I could be doing, but I was uncomfortable, so I just kept talking. And I was like, oh, you hate traffic and you have really bad road rage. And I'm learning it like really soon into us
the worst
dating.
spot to be.
Like, so I was like, so I feel like in a sense, maybe it would also like reveal like someone to you a little quicker.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so if I was in line with you, like I would like be talking and being all like bubbly and trying to crack jokes. And then all of a sudden I'd be like, wow, we've been here for a long time.
You're like, it's not worth it.
Wow, we're still here.
Yeah, okay.
We're, like, I like ice cream, but not. And then I would just become
you're
annoying.
not getting hyped.
Yeah.
That's not something you're like de-hyping.
I'm de-hyping. Yeah, that's why I like don't get a ski pass anymore.
Oh,
like,
yeah. I mean, that's a lot of waiting in line.
I was just like, too many lines, too much shit.
Interesting. You skied. You didn't board.
Oh, I snowboard. Sorry.
Okay.
I just call it a ski pass.
No, yeah, I get your saying.
No, I still get like, now it's just for one mountain. I'll
Which
be
one?
like, Keystone. So I'm like, when I want
Keystone
to,
girly.
I'll do Keystone, and that's it. And
a copper
I'll scratch
guy.
the itch. I did copper last year. I
like
did the copper 4-pack.
I mean, I haven't snowboarded in like over 10 years, but
I really loved copper. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I did the 4-pack, and then, but it was just a little too far. Like just that one extra hump over to Vail, like considering what a curmudgeon I am. I was like, okay, we just got to get to fucking Keystone.
Driving in traffic is like another line.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like
it all is. The whole thing is just
life is a line.
Life is a line.
You are in queue to die.
Yeah. So I'm like, just fucking kill me.
Oh, okay. So welcome to Left Hand Right Brain, everybody. We got Christina Vasili here on the couch. You're Greek, American.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Greek American.
It's very Jesse Consopoulos, huh? Did you love Full House?
I did, and I loved
like
Uncle
they're
Jesse.
representing me.
Yes.
I'm wearing my Uncle Jesse vest here today.
Oh, I love
the J stands for Jesse, so I always identified with Uncle Jesse.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's a good vest.
But like later Uncle Jesse, when he was like too rocky in the first one, you know, like he was like, oh, I'm in the band.
Yeah, that was like his whole personality.
Yeah. I liked when he was with the news anchor girl and they were like,
yeah.
And he was just like, I'm just hot. That's my thing.
That's just me being hot.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like my hair's fucking awesome. And
yeah. And he's still awesome.
And
he like actually tours with the Beach Boys. Like remember when his band like played with the Beach Boys in the show?
The
like
Disney episode?
Now
was
they
the
like do
episode?
it. I don't know.
Not a big but Full Housey.
I was.
Housey?
I guess, yeah, housey.
Yeah.
But yeah, Greek American. So my dad is from Greece, but my mom is American.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have dual citizenship?
Yes.
Nice.
I do.
Awesome. That's so cool.
Got my Greek passport.
You're ready to bail whenever shit gets too bad, huh?
Yeah, I need to renew it, but yes.
You have to renew, huh?
I mean, it's like any other passport.
Oh,
like
the passport. Okay.
Yeah, the passport.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not good. The citizenship.
Yeah, no, they're like, no, we get it. We went through.
Like, are you still alive?
I had to like
in.
go to the embassy, like in DC and all the things, and like, yeah.
Yeah, it was all appealing to me as a youth, and now it's even more appealing to me as an adult, having dual citizenship.
Where are you a dual citizen?
My mom, on my mom's side of the family is Portuguese, and they immigrated. My grandfather immigrated from the Azores in the 50s. So.
Oh, hell
yeah. So I was listening to your Intolerable podcast, and you're talking about going back to Greece a lot and stuff. And it sounded a lot kind of like because last year I went to the Azores, and it was like seemed like my experience there. It's like very beachy, you know, it's an island.
Yeah.
So it's just like
it was great.
Just two island kids, huh?
Island kids
living in the mountains.
Yeah. I want to.
Two extremes.
Yeah. I mean, when I moved out here, my dad was like, "Where will you swim?"
Oh, wow.
That was his first. That was his first question, because it's like we grew up on the water, going to the water all the time, and
the ocean heals, baby.
That's what he would always. When I was like a fucking pizza face kid, like he's like just go into the water, like the salt water, and I'm like, Dad, this is like teenage acne. It's not gonna like heal with salt water, but I get what you're saying. Like,
do you think you dry it out?
I know, and it does. It is great for your skin, but I think just the egregious.
Yeah, maybe not when you have active sores. You know, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like the dad in my big fat Greek wedding, where he's like put Windex on everything. He's just like, just go into the ocean.
Yeah.
Just put some ocean water on it.
Yeah. He hated that movie because he said there was like, he did not see the parallels. And I was like, that's like, perfect. This is actually very real. And it wasn't Windex for him. It was liquid Band-Aid. He believed that liquid Band-Aid healed. Like, he'd be like, oh, I had a pimple earlier, but I put some liquid Band-Aid on it. and I was like, that's the Windex, Dad. Like, how are you not seeing the parallels?
Yeah, that's very funny. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of like Greek stuff as you were growing up, huh? Did you feel seen? Was it cool to be Greek, you think? Like, did you play it up a little more?
I mean,
Hercules.
No, I hated the
animated movie is what I'm talking about.
Okay. We didn't really watch many like shows or like Disney or anything like growing up.
Just Full House.
Just Full House. Yeah. But yeah, we didn't. It's weird because like also a thing with having immigrant parents is like they want to be American. Like it's very much about playing down that you're not that you're not from there. You know, so he was very much like, just let's not talk about it. Let's not. So now I like wish that I knew more about it. And I get a little pissed off and I feel bad about it, especially since he passed away. I'm like, why can't I speak in Greek fluently to his sister, who's, you know, my godmother and loves me so much, but like he didn't teach us. And it's like, that's just kind of what happens with a lot of, you know, children of immigrants. And so it's kind of this side project for me now to try to just educate myself.
Learn Greek.
But yeah, learn Greek.
Cool.
And my cousin's trying to get me to move there. And I was like, I'll come for an extended stay. We'll see about moving there later. But
how's your partner feel about that? Would you leave him?
No,
You're not leave him. Like, but like, you know, hey, we're gonna be long term for a little bit. I gotta go find my Greek roots.
I've dabbled in the thought of being like, I might just be gone for like a month.
Okay.
But like,
a month's doable.
Like, you know,
totally
it's
doable.
like we're not breaking up, but especially when I was talking to my cousin about this, my boyfriend and I
fuck other people there.
Yeah,
we're not breaking up, but
it is Greece. Like, have you seen Mykonos? But
I
yeah,
haven't. Is that sorry?
It's just like a clubbing, like
known for being.
It's just a party island, is what it's known for. But
party island. That's what it means in Greek.
Yeah,
party island.
Konos. Yes, and he and we had just started dating, like when I was talking to my cousin about this. So now I'm like, yeah, it's probably
so you were single and your cousin, recently single or whatever. So your cousin thought maybe
he was just like, well, and it was right after my dad passed away. So it was very much like, now's the time,
it's a big upheaval time. Yeah,
come now. And I was like, oh, of course. Like, yes. Like, so, but I do. It is an exciting thing now. I hated my last name growing up. It was impossible for people to pronounce.
Vasili.
And
am I doing it wrong?
No, Vasili's right, but that's also my stage name. So I changed my name even in comedy a year in.
People are doing this all the time now.
Yeah, I did it maybe like a year ago.
I don't trust people who don't go by their real names.
What do you mean?
You're hiding.
Okay, it's funny that you say that because I see it as like controlling people's access to me.
Okay.
Like, I'm like, I don't think you deserve this much access to me just because I choose to tell some jokes.
That's fair.
So it's just kind of like,
you gotta have
it
boundaries.
might be a female thing too.
Yeah, that's different for you. Yeah,
but
for sure.
But also, it was mood killer when people botched my fucking name going on stage.
Yeah.
And like, it also little triggering every time because my sister and I used to come home from first days of school and say, how many mispronunciations did you get? How many because like people just botched our name. And so we hated it. Like I remember my 3rd grade teacher, Miss O'Hara, told me she had this like crazy maiden name. And she was like, but I got married. And so I'm Miss O'Hara. And I was like, I must get married. What is this married thing that you're talking about that you can change your name? I didn't know you could change your name. It's your name. So it's kind of just like an empowering thing of like people would bring me on stage and be like, you're going to love her. Like, you know, I've seen her, you know, and they book me on these shows. And then they're like, give it up for Christina. Oh, she just told me like, and it just kills the whole energy. And then I have to make jokes about it when I get up there. And I was like,
feel like you have to earn it back and earn the room back in a way.
Yeah. So I was like, let's just cut this out entirely and just.
I mean, I'm sure people forget Vasili enough as well, huh?
But not really.
Much, but...
And also it's like silly. Like I'm like Vasili. Like you can remember that. We're comics. Like you could say.
Yeah.
And also it's a play off my middle name, which is Vasili Key. And so that's the female version. Vasili is the male version. And I would go around to mics and do like little testing and be like, can you pronounce this? They couldn't pronounce Vasili Key, but they couldn't pronounce Vasili.
Yeah.
So I was like,
simple.
We're doing it.
Keep it simple. Yeah. All right. Enjoying a Diet Coke. You said it's the first one you've had in a while. Or Diet Dr. Pepper, actually. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And bringing back any memories? Is just something you did as a kid?
No, I just like Diet Coke so much that I'm just always drinking Diet Coke. But I was like, fuck, I really liked Dr. Pepper,
I was getting into a Coke Zero phase about a year ago. I was drinking a lot of Coke Zeros because it's got rid of the diet taste.
And I love the diet taste.
Yeah, see, that's what I found out. People love the
chemicals.
Diet taste.
Yeah, because when people say Diet Pepsi, I'm like, no, it's Diet Coke or nothing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So the Diet Pepsi doesn't have the same diet taste as the Diet Coke.
It's sweeter, and I don't really like sweet things.
Yeah, Pepsi
drinks.
is sweeter.
I don't like sweet drinks. Yeah.
Interesting. But you like ice cream. We were bonding over ice cream a little bit before. Are you like specific, like it has to be gelato?
No, honestly.
I've been reading a lot about the differences, things like that.
I'm sure you would. I've actually never known. Like, so yeah, that would be interesting to know.
Gelato's, I think it's a higher butterfat content, so it's like creamier.
Okay.
And there's more of a fat content, and then it's churned slower, so there's not as much air bubbles in it. Because like some ice cream you get, and it's very airy, like fluffy. I think like Tillamook is like that. I don't know if you've had that's like a store brand.
Oh, I know.
Of ice cream. Yeah, well,
I know.
Sorry, I didn't mean to insult your knowledge of ice cream. But yeah, I don't like Tillamook because of that. I'm like, it's all just air. I don't like it. And but my wife, she loves that. And then the gelato is also served at a lower temperature, so that the fat like coats your palate in a different way, so that it like the taste is different.
I mean, like that actually makes a lot of sense, just because the Italians are like the pioneers of the slow food movement. So it's like they're very much like
slow food movement.
Take your time,
like
everything should be. So yeah, they need to warm it, like it needs to be a certain temperature to melt a certain way. That totally checks out. That would be like their approach to it.
Is gelato still in Greece a lot, or is it?
Probably.
Okay.
But I was telling you this earlier, but like we always go for walks after dinner in Greece. So we'd go every year and we'd always get ice cream, but it was always just like Magnum bars, or like they were just like bodegas with ice cream coolers, and you would just take an ice cream bar. So it wasn't like going to like an ice cream shop.
Gotcha. But then you do it as you're walking, like after dinner walk. Yeah. All this stuff is like great lifestyle stuff. You know?
And it helps you digest. I mean, there's just so here we growing up, we would my dad would cut fruit for us for dessert. We would all eat fruit, and then we would go for a walk.
Damn. That sounds so nice. I'm sure in the moment you're like, I just want to fucking watch Full House or whatever, Dad.
Oh yeah. I didn't appreciate anything.
Nice.
But now I'm like,
you're a kid, no one does.
And I'm like, but now I have to, not have to, but as soon as it gets nice out, I'm like, let's go for a walk to get ice cream. Like, when I lived by South Broadway, walk to South Broadway, go to whatever's over there.
Sweet Action.
Yeah. Go to Sweet Action. So yeah, I think it's a great little thing.
Yeah. It's a good life.
Yeah.
Like just life habit.
Yeah.
Thing to do. Yeah. So are you so you're first generation American, I guess?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Crazy. Wouldn't have guessed. You've assimilated so well.
Oh, thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
You're passing. Way to go.
I'm very I'm very American passing. I always cracked up about like, I feel like it was during the pandemic when like all of the protests were happening and white people, if they had any bit of heritage in them, had this need to say that they were their culture.
Like back in 2020 or
yeah,
what were we
just
thinking?
to be like, I'm not American. Like, I know I'm white, but I'm not American. And all of a sudden I saw like these influencers putting like first gen Slovenian or like something on their thing. I'm like, you're still what? We're not talking about the same thing here. But I felt an urge to be like, I'm Greek. Like,
yeah, there's, I
think
that would give you some cultural, I mean, I tried it, you know, I tried talking Spanish on stage when I first started doing comedy. I tried a lot of different things, you know, it's,
it's just an identity thing and just being, and it's just funny, you know, having grown up with it not being my whole identity, that now I'm very much like, yeah, I am Greek, and I did go to Greece a lot, and
that's so cool that you at least you went a couple times or
every year
you went growing up. That's so awesome.
Yeah. So now I appreciate it.
Why did your family leave? Just out of curiosity, or hopefully that's not too personal.
No, my dad just wanted to go to school here.
Okay.
He was just very like, he was in the Greek Air Force, and then he
the Greek Air Force.
Yeah, he worked in the mines and as well, and then he wanted to be an engineer, and he was like,
so he's like, I spent too much time in the sky. I'm going to go underground now.
Yeah, very big all or nothing guy, just extremes, very extreme guy.
Got to balance it out, yin yang.
Yeah, and he came here, went straight to New York, and worked his way through Brooklyn Polytechnic, Columbia, and NYU, and got his master's in engineering. And he was just like valeting cars and like working like cleanup crew at clubs late night and stuff like that.
Until he got his degree, and I hope
to pay for his degree. Yeah,
I was like, he got his master's, and then he just valeted cars.
Yeah, and then he just kept going with the cars. He really enjoyed it.
I mean, you gotta follow your passion, I suppose.
Yeah. So I can imagine that he was not stoked on me never having any like drive in school.
Did you feel more pressured or anything to get your master's and things like that?
Like, yes and no, because I got diagnosed with ADHD way late in life, and I was like, oh, this is why just nothing clicked. I just like did not care about school. And then I got my master's a couple years ago, actually, and my dad was like,
"Oh, you did get your master's?
I
That's
did,
crazy."
But it was for myself, and it was for something that I thought was really interesting. And so then I was like, and he goes, "She's finally listening to me," and I was like, I couldn't have done it in the track that he laid out. But I got there in my own time.
Yeah, no, that's
and
great.
I still don't use it. So,
so
we got there.
So you're showing him. So there you go, Dad.
Yeah, there's your masters.
Mom, what was she trying to get you to do? Did he meet her in America after he'd already come here?
He met her here. They met at a hotel. So she was in hotels I know everyone always thinks it's like this crazy story, but he was doing the electrical work.
I mean, sorry.
That would be cooler. Honestly, I wish my mom was a prostitute. Like, give her some edge. Give her like, come on, give her something.
Can't wait till she hears this.
But she was working the front desk of the hotel. He was doing the lighting because they were still working on opening the hotel, and they met there. So that's kind of it. And then she worked in hotels.
Was your dad like charming? Did he have like a vibe? Like it's like Uncle Jesse vibe maybe, or no? Or was it like,
I don't see it. Like,
okay.
I don't. Like,
you're like, I have no idea what she saw.
I think, well, now that I understand her a bit more, like she's has her own stuff. Like she's an alcoholic, and she definitely has a lot of shit that she's
about an edge. You're like, I wish she was at a different edge.
Yeah, a different edge. That's what I should have said. But he was 10 years older than her. I think there was some like, I don't really know what it was. It really just kind of like came out of convenience. I never saw like a loving relationship, and like he had a crazy temper for a while until he gave himself a heart attack. Damn. And then he chilled out a little bit. But yeah, it was crazy. And so I think it was just like out of convenience. So yeah, I don't know. he started getting cutesy about it like later in life, like talking about how they met. But I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, interesting.
Doesn't seem like quite the romance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There was. Oh, I don't care. I've processed all of it.
That's what I wondering. I thought it'd be. Yeah, I don't know.
I know it is a funny thing of like, I don't know. It almost adds this element of, I think people just with immigrants and like being, I think people just think there's a romance to it more.
Yeah,
and
like there'd
and
be
then
some kind of charm that
I have to be the awkward person that's like, no, it actually was pretty much a typical toxic relationship.
Yeah.
Regardless
Straight
of
down
the
the
culture.
line, toxic relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's
Did I totally buzzkill that?
No,
Never
I was
mind.
like, well,
they were on a carpet. It was flying through the air.
It's like Aladdin, huh?
Yeah. Aladdin.
So anger issues. You had some anger issues, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that, because another thing I heard on the Intolerable podcast is that you got to know self-defense a lot, which I thought was very interesting. I did martial arts growing up as well.
Nice.
So, I mean, there's a whole like dark side of that where like my family was like, hey, you need to be able to defend yourself against your dad. My dad was abusive and like an anger. So I was like, well, you said anger thing your dad
it's very
had.
self-aware that they would say that and not just act like it wasn't happening.
Yeah,
so
it was.
But that's still very traumatic as a child.
Yeah, it was. There's some shit there, but yeah, I mean, was there anything like that? It was like, hey, I need to, like, shit gets violent sometimes, so like, I want to be able to protect myself, or
yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some through line, like with just kind of like seeing how men can snap, like, you know, and it was just like very like, oh, and then in getting older, I also am like a survivor of sexual assault, and I was just like, oh, it doesn't take much, like, and any attack to the ego can really set off the wrong kind of guy. And so there's so much psychological shit with self-defense as well, like, because the main thing in what I teach is that you're not trying to engage. I'm not going to teach you how to be in a full combat situation. I'm teaching you to read the indicators before something even happens, how to avoid it. And if you aren't able to avoid it and you are engaged by this person, then things that you can do to physically remove yourself and get out.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, when I first started martial arts, everything was like, you know, you defend and then disengage. Like everything's just like get away. Like a big thing. I did American Kempo, and their whole thing, like, it's like every technique ended with like, okay, now you get away. You know, like you take a couple steps back or whatever. This is, you know, that was like they were trying to build that into the system.
And that's great. I mean, I think it's interesting. Like if you were to Google, like, well, I've definitely Googled best martial arts for women, like self-defense. And so many people say jiu-jitsu, and it's like, that's all on the ground. I don't want to be on the fucking ground.
Yeah,
like and also you need to be a black belt to actually like be able to like you're talking about a huge person. Like this person wouldn't have even chosen you if they didn't think they could overpower you. So I don't want to tell people like, yeah, go spend the next 10 years being perfect at this one thing and then you'll be safe. It's like, you know, it's like, no, you can take steps now to just disengage.
Yeah, I mean, it's all being aware all the time type of thing, not a once you're on the ground, then it's activated kind of situation.
Right. And I always try to be really mindful of not like fear mongering and not vilifying men, because like it's not all men. And
thank you for saying that.
I mean, it really is. And like it's something that I really have, I've seen how off the rails the classes can get sometimes when women just start sharing experiences. And I want to remind them that like, this is to empower you to not live in a state of constant fear. Like, and actually it's counterintuitive, because if you are leaving your house and immediately being terrified
on the defense,
then your body actually doesn't know real fear anymore. So when real fear, so it's actually better to just be like, yes, be aware, but don't assume that every sound is a person or an attacker. And like, and that's easier said than done. But it's like,
how do you find that balance? I mean,
it's really hard. And I even struggle with it, but I also have the privilege of being able to avoid the highest, like the most difficult situations. I don't really know how to say it, but like I don't need to grocery shop wicked late at night. I don't need to be leaving a late bar shift like I used to, but I have the privilege of not being in quote unquote the most unsafe situations. Man, leaving open mics is probably like the latest I'll be out, like putting stuff from my show like into my car, but it's right in front of a busy bar.
Yeah. I mean, you're doing things to like minimalize any kind of risk.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just kind of, but I still am constantly educating myself on it. And that's something I recently read. And I thought that was really interesting. I was like, oh yeah, I shouldn't be telling people to constantly look over their shoulder. Cause then it's like, that's not reality. Yeah, it's like, you don't want to take the joy. You don't want to rob like being able to like
live your life in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, but that's exactly it. Like, it's then they win.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
This is what they want.
No, I think it's a true. Yeah, sorry, I mention that you do teach self-defense classes as well.
Yes.
Yeah, not just doing martial arts, but yeah, how did you find teaching?
Well, I first decided to do a workshop for female comics.
Okay.
And because I was like,
this was how long ago?
Like a year ago.
Okay.
And I was at a show one time and this guy would not leave me and this other comic alone.
Oh no.
And just talking to us, but like really just like
Can I guess what comic it was? No, I'm just joking.
No, it wasn't a comic. It was just a guy. So the thing that I feel like a lot of people don't understand is like at a lot of our shows, we don't have a green room. Like we do our set and then we're just at the back of the bar and we're just accessible to anyone.
Yeah.
And like a lot of men just feel like that's the time to come up and start talking to you or like run their bits by you, whatever it is. And you're just like, I'm just trying to listen to this comic or I just don't want to engage with you. And I was very good about disengaging with him. And the female comic with me, unfortunately, was not. And I even tried to like kind of like keep her with me and like, but she just really couldn't make a hard line. And he didn't do anything. It was just a nuisance. And it's like, we still deserve to not deal with that.
And that's like best case scenario.
And that's best case scenario. Yeah. But it got me thinking. I was like, how many female comics are in this situation all the time?
Well, I want to just say I'm sorry. I thought I was, helping out with some bits
wasn't
that night.
Funny?
Yeah. It wasn't me.
I'm like, we're like comic addresses her attacker on live podcast.
Yeah, that's a TikTok.
Clickbait. But yeah, so then I was like, let's find this woman. And it's a woman out of Boulder, and she was the only woman I could find teaching a self-defense class.
So you're Googling like women's self-defense?
And it was all, I'm Googling women's self-defense, and it's all male-led classes. And I'm like, where are the women? And so I find her, she's in Boulder. And I did like a benefit show to raise funds to pay her.
Okay.
And it was all like a huge success. And like 10 comics came to the workshop and at no cost to them. And I was in between. I had gotten laid off maybe like 6 months prior.
From working at the brunch place?
No, I laid myself off from that one. But I was just kind of like, hey, like that was really cool. How can I like do what you do? And she was like, well, I'm actually looking into developing an instructor training program.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So let's work together.
It's all coming together.
And kind of the rest is history. Yeah. So it was really great. And I'm so grateful to her. And now I can kind of do it around the Denver area and sometimes like Arvada, Boulder. But that's how it all came together.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How'd you find martial arts in the first place? Like, what did you like walk by school and you saw someone kicking a bag and were like, I want to do this? Or
I mean,
high school bullies beat you up and then an old guy came and was like, beat them up and then he took you under his wing, kind of Karate Kid style.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a little familiar. I'm not a martial artist.
Okay.
Like I don't like, so what's great about what she taught.
That's why you didn't bow to me when I bowed at the no.
And my shoes are still on. But what's cool about her is that she went through all of this training, like Kempo, BJJ, and her, and a huge shout out to that. And she actually started this business with her husband, and they decided to do it specifically for women and kind of take everything that they've learned and synthesize it down into like more scenario based training and stuff specific for women, because a lot of times the male-led classes, they're just like a little, like, I mean, you don't know.
It's a different vibe.
It's just a different vibe.
It's a different vibe,
and
for
the
sure.
selling point is that you can kick the shit out of the dude at the end. Like, that's the benefit.
You want to kick this guy in the balls? Go
and women
for it.
are like, yeah, this is what I've wanted. And it's like, okay, so yeah, some of our stuff isn't as
Do you have like the big bear suit?
No,
or like the dog
I do
attack
have like
suit?
a big like body opponent like bag though,
Yeah.
and so that helps because it has like a very like brooding face, but
Just looks mean.
yeah, it just looks mean and it works, and
Is it
I
black?
feel like, what'd you say?
Is it black?
No,
Okay,
no,
good.
he's just
I
a
feel better about
classic
that.
creepy white
You're
guy.
like, it's brown. I painted it brown.
He's beige. But it's I feel like that's enough. Like, you know, like it scratches the itch, and so
Scratches the itch of like hitting
of
something.
wanting to hit a man.
Like hit it hard and
yeah.
get the feel of like throwing a real punch and
Yeah.
Yeah,
And also like I hold pads
Or
and like, you
kicking or
know,
whatever.
like
Yeah,
we do all the things, and there's like partner stuff, but
biting,
poking,
the real Three Stooges stuff, you know.
most of that works,
Self-defense.
honestly. But yeah, so it's that was a great introduction, and like now I'm gonna go on to train in martial arts. So it's like I'm really just teaching basic fundamentals, and there is a lot of even non-physical stuff involved in that. But you know, long term, if this is gonna be like my profession, like of course I'm taking the time to become a martial artist. It's just right now I'm like, thank you for the mentoring. I learned what I learned. I know how to teach the basic things, and now I can take on the bigger stuff.
So like you know, this guy grabs you, and this is like the, you know, they grab you here.
Yeah, like wrist grabs.
Wrist grabs, chokehold thing.
Yeah,
So
wrist grabs, rear
bear
attacks.
hugs from behind.
Yeah, rear attacks are.
Yeah, bear hugs from behind.
They're. I mean, I don't know. It's like just, and even just a lot of dudes, it's all just a power play. So like they're just like up in your business. It's not like even an overt attack. It's this like, let me just subtly be making you just uncomfortable enough, and I know you won't say anything.
Yeah,
it's like the grossest way. And so that's like, you can teach that now, and just talking about it and bringing it like into
stopping it before things go too far, kind of a thing.
Oh, sorry, I hear but yeah. So, and also just like, I mean, I am a comedian, so I like to keep it lighter, and you know, not make it this like really scary, intense. Like we're talking about intense things. Like I'm bringing my own personal experience to it, but we can have fun. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be like just fear mongering.
So have you done any BJJ stuff? Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
I've just in what I've trained with my coach. So I like all of the gymnastica stuff. Like, so it's very like stand up and bass, and just like, you know, doing stuff on the ground, learning how to fall.
Yeah,
which I'm not good at.
Yeah.
I'm not good at it. Like I'm still learning. It's hard.
Oh yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's hard. It's just fun.
Yeah.
You know. Because I did American Kempo, which is the stand up stuff, and then I found like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu started like really popping off at the school I went to, like around 2005, 2007. You know, and I like got into a scuffle with a wrestler, and at school I was like, oh, I'm a purple belt, like blah blah blah, and then he was just like a skinny track guy, but he'd like wrestled. Yeah. So he like wrapped me up like a pretzel, embarrassed me. Like you know, they're just mostly just my ego was bruised more than anything. Sure. So then I started doing the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu thing, and like one of the first immediate things they were trying to sell so much is like, this is great for women's self-defense. You know, because I worked at a school that, I mean, I eventually started teaching at this school the Kempo stuff, but they were always like, women's self-defense, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, women's self-defense. This is, you know, the most vulnerable place for a woman to be, so that like they could, you know, because it's all groundwork and
exactly.
And then they really sold like, you know, 99% of fights end up on the ground. So like you should know what to do there. It was like the big selling point.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, okay, I came from sales, and I can't like unsee sales pitches. Okay. Now it's like anything that feels salesy, anything that feels like it just went one step.
Because I used numbers, I was like 99%.
Yep, exactly. That's one thing.
Red flag.
But also fear mongering, because it's like, don't be in that fight.
Right. Yeah.
Why are you saying that? Like, if you teach the awareness you don't just end up on the ground. Like,
right, yeah.
There's so many things you can do. Don't ever turn your back to that person. Don't ever and so it's like, why are we just saying, what do you do on the ground? Why don't you not get her on the ground first?
Yeah.
And so because what they're saying is true. The numbers, you can use numbers because it's true. If that's a true statistic, yeah, you're going to hear that statistic and be like, oh, fuck yeah, this is totally why BJJ is going to be the move.
Yeah.
And then that's just going to be your whole selling point. And so you're not going to, and then people don't hear or think critically to be like, we're all on the ground. So every woman's just being taken down to the ground. It's like, no, people aren't thinking that. They're like, oh my God, that's terrifying. Get me off the ground. What do I do? And that was, I mean, I'll be totally honest. I do know how to handle those situations. And I was the first thing I wanted to learn from my coach. And so I'm not saying it's not correct. Like, I'm glad that I know those things. But like, yeah, it's just,
there's a lot more to it.
There's just a lot more nuance to it. And I'm not saying not to do it, but you're not going to do it right. You need muscle memory. You need your brain to actually handle the response, know how to breathe in those situations, to actually respond and cover your face if they're just like relentlessly beating on you. Like, you can't just do the move if they're realistically beating on you the whole time. Like, there's just things to create nuance around. And I, obviously it's something I'm still very interested in learning more about and training in, but we're just talking about trying to keep women safe with a few things out the gate.
Yeah.
And, at the end of the day, attackers choose their victims because they look like victims. So what can you do to just not look like a victim? And how to empower yourself. And I just feel really passionately about it. And it's kind of like, as much as I feel imposter syndrome for not being fully there yet in the training piece, it's like I still want to be getting a message out that women still
I think
need
this
to
is
hear,
great.
for sure. Yeah,
something actionable you can do immediately when you leave the class, kind of a thing. I mean, because to be honest, I doubt any of these people are going to continue their they're not going to be getting the things to get the muscle memory like you're saying. So you need like simple actionable things that will work practically, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm teaching an 8-week course at a high school right now.
Cool.
And high school,
I didn't realize you're like doing this, like this is like a whole thing.
Yeah.
This is great.
And these kids,
high school kids, all girls,
all girl, holy shit, they hate everything.
Is it like Mean Girls in that place? The movie Mean Girls?
It's not. It's like they're all,
because that's
like,
too old
quirky.
of a movie now.
It's like now they're like, they're not like, they're just like, they're just so disinterested. Like, they're bullying me. Like, they're the ones that are like, why? Like, we don't. They're always trying to like have these like gotcha moments with me, and I'm just like, and I'm like, I know
that's racist, miss.
I'm like, what do you? Yeah, I'm like, what the hell? I was like, I asked you to say your preferred pronouns at the beginning of this. Like, I'm doing my fucking best. Like, like, we're allies here. Like, why are you trying to But yeah, I was teaching the grabs the other day, and you start with like same side, like you're grabbing with the same side arm.
Yeah, okay.
And then as I was talking to these two girls, this girl did a cross grab, and she was like, well, what if this? And immediately was trying to like get me in a weird situation. And I could do the maneuver to like get out. And so I was like able to flex in that moment, be like, I know what I'm doing, but it's because of muscle memory. It's because of learning these things and going to, still weekly, I'm go to a class that my mentor teaches just to kind of remind myself of these maneuvers and doing stuff at home.
Yeah, gotta keep practicing.
So yeah, like I've had friends come to workshops, and then we'll be like drinking at a friend's house or something, and their husbands are like, I don't know what you taught her, but like it didn't work. And I'm like,
oh God.
And I'm like, because you're like they're just drunkenly being like, babe, look what I learned, and just like don't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're not trying to teach false confidence here. It's like, but fake it till you make it. Like, it's like, let your brain believe that you're more confident than you are, but yeah, anything, it would take a long time. So it's like, at least be able to leave with like, I'm not saying be perfect at everything I taught you, but pick one thing that you're like, that could be my move that my go-to, and then just practice that and let that be the thing that you would do if something happened.
Yeah. What about, how do you feel about weapons then? You carrying? You got a concealed carry, huh?
I want one.
Feeling? Yeah, I mean, who doesn't?
I want a gun.
Who doesn't want a gun, bro?
I want a gun. Give me a gun.
It's your right as an American.
It is something that because this is a long-winded answer, but it's because I also feel like people assume that just by my energy that I wouldn't feel okay about guns. I don't feel good about assault rifles, but guns for protection. I've learned a lot more in learning more in self-defense of the human nature of attackers and the way that they think and the ego driven, kind of how easy it is to set them off, and just seeing how the dumbest people are the most powerful right now and the most violent is scary.
Right.
And that is grounds for me to want a gun.
I get it.
So
I want a gun. And
it's just, and my boyfriend has one that he keeps in a safe, and his dad is obsessed, and so he's going to teach me. Like he's
okay, cool.
And I think he's on the spectrum a little bit, and he's really, really, really obsessed with home renovations and guns. And I'm like,
interesting.
Let's keep talking.
I mean,
okay?
yeah, these things are
teach me.
Yeah, these things are both very useful. So, I do like the idea of like just knowing how to my way around a gun. I have no idea. I mean, I know which side, trigger, exit where the bullet hole goes or the bullet goes through. I mean, I wouldn't know if someone was like, here, if like I was in some action movie scenario, like here's the gun.
Right. You'd be
go take care of business. I'd be like, is the safety on? I don't know how to cock it. I don't know what that does.
Yeah. You're just like, wait, this one's not that one. That's not the one. That does
it's like I don't know my way around a gun. So
well,
it would be interesting.
I was thinking about, so I was telling him like I was just worried I wouldn't be a good shot, my boyfriend's dad, and he was like, oh, then a shotgun, because it like sprays. And then Bill Burr has a really funny bit about that, because it's just an idiot-proof gun. It's just a shotgun.
It's like people miss all the time. It ain't the movies. Very funny bit. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, shotgun. I've looked into stuff about self-defense as well, and they're saying like birdshot because it won't go through walls as easily. Like if you get a shotgun with like a deer shot, I guess it's like more. It's like the bullets. So it's like the shell has either bigger or smaller pebbles in it, or they call it buckshot, or the balls in that actually project out for the bullet. Birdshot's wider because when you're shooting a bird, you want to get a bigger spread. And if you have like a deer, it's got to be like more penetrative and more like direct.
Okay.
So they're talking about like, if you're like in an apartment building, or if you have a house, like this house, it's an old ass house. If you shot a certain caliber rifle, it'd go into this guy's house, and then you're gonna fucking hurt that guy, So birdshot, it might not go through the wall.
Sponsor us.
Yeah, sponsor us. Birdshot.
We go the complete opposite. We're like, we just want to learn about guns, and then we're like, sponsor us, please.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like, we're gonna start our own podcast where we learn how to shoot guns, I guess.
I mean, I've heard more and more interest. Yeah. I mean, like everyone, I love that. I'm definitely in like a learning space now of like, you can learn so much shit. Just like give yourself grace.
Be interested in
There's no like rule about it. And I think people just are so stuck on something being their whole identity that like they're like, well, I don't do that. Right. So, and I'm like, you can fucking learn. Like I got laid off 2 years ago, and then my dad died 2 weeks later.
Damn.
And it was like
it's a lot at once.
It was, and I had that job for 7 years. And so it was like, I hated it.
Was it like a career job?
Yeah. Okay. And I hated it, but it was also consistency. It afforded me the ability to get into stand up, like, because I could just be writing most of the day, or I could like leave early online and no one would notice, like, and go to a mic or something. And it just, I have, like I said, ADHD, and like it afforded me consistency. And that is something I still struggle with today, of like not having a routine. Mm-hmm. And it can really derail me. But I was also like, don't just jump back into like a corporate thing because you know it and you can do it. Like sit in this like mess for a while and like figure out like what actually would give you purpose and what actually would be fun and exciting. And then, not too soon after, met Rachel, my coach, and it was just like, maybe lean into this for a sec.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Like, and it's just learn. And so now I'm like, talked to me 2 years ago, I'd have been like, what would be the purpose of a gun? I don't need a gun. And now I'm like, I could fucking learn. I'll learn to use a gun. Fuck it.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, I found all my like immediate family, they all have like concealed carries. My sister has one. My little sister has one. Like it's like, wow, okay.
You're the one that's late to the game.
Yeah, they definitely have means of protecting themselves or killing me way more than I do now,
Tables have turned.
Yeah, for real, yeah, I guess I didn't think about it like that. That's interesting. Yeah, so you're teaching these classes. That's very interesting. It's cool that you got a business going and you're doing it. Is there, any way people could get a hold of you? You want to advertise that if anybody?
I have my Instagram is where I put a lot of stuff for Christina Vasili, but my company is New Age Knockout, so I also have a an Instagram for that.
That's fun. It's a fun name. Yeah, okay. So back to the visiting Greece stuff. Is there any? I just think that's just so interesting. You know, like learning
totally
different cultures and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Is there any big like cultural differences that stand out to you, like when you go to Greece, or anything that like you guys just don't do this? What's going on?
They're very, your family. So they're very like, everyone is very like, welcome, we'll take care of you, we'll feed you, like, and it's like any other culture. If you just learn a couple words and just any knowledge that you are in another place that is not America is very appreciated. They're just all really kind, amazing people, and they love to party and just hang out. I love like they have all these little plazas everywhere of just kind of these like city centers, and there's like a siesta time in the middle of the day for a couple hours,
like just a chill.
All businesses close. And as a kid, I hated that because I was like, I want to shop, I want to do this, do that. And it's like, no, you literally can't do anything. Everything's closed. And there's just old like papus in the plaza, like with their rosaries, just counting beads and like shooting the shit, playing cards. And it's just a cool, slow way of living.
Yeah.
And
very appealing to me.
and the beach, it's like, like I said before, when I told my dad I was moving out here and he was like, where will you swim? That was his first question.
Where'd you move from?
I moved from the East Coast.
Okay.
So I was in Connecticut, and we lived by a beach. And so anytime that I would go back home, and I've been here for 10 years, and anytime I would go back home, he would pick me up from the airport and take me straight to the beach to reconnect with Poseidon. Mm-hmm. And we would just sit there and we would just watch the waves. And
I love that. There is something that I do just love watching and being around the water. I do love water.
It is.
There's something there.
There's also, there's
being on a boat,
scientific like evidence around like the mental health benefits of being around water. And so like even here we can do that. If we go like, if I want to go for a walk at a park,
some streams or whatever.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to go to Sloan's Lake because there's a little thing. Yeah. Just anything like that. So like growing up with that, just being like a part of you is like really something I took for granted. Also, the beach was like everywhere we went was surrounded around everything we did growing up. It was like you would get drunk at the beach in high school, or you would like, go in. It was just, there was everything was the beach, and your parents would be like, okay, if they knew you were just going to the beach, regardless of like what shenanigans you were getting into. And it was just cool to have that.
Then Connecticut, I don't think of that. So that's interesting.
Yeah. So I'm like from very, very southern Connecticut, like outside New York. So we still have the Long Island Sound.
Oh, okay.
But there's a lot of Connecticut that people don't think like has a coast. And so, yeah, we had the beach, and
is it pretty warm a lot of the year? Or is it pretty cold?
It's like super mild.
Okay. Well,
yeah. Like we didn't really have like white Christmases.
Okay.
Growing up. So yeah, pretty mild.
What was any stereotypical thoughts of Colorado before you came out here? Where you think would be snowboarding up to our doors and riding bears to work?
And then weed, just like hippies, culture, like just
especially 10 years ago.
Yeah. And all I had was visiting. Like I had an older friend that went to college before me, and she went to CU Boulder, and I came to visit, and I was just like, oh, y'all don't give a fuck. But that was just, then I learned that was just college in general. But it's like, it wasn't like their whole personality, but
kind of.
But now it's like, and especially now that it's legal, it's just like, we get it. But I sold weed in college, and I I made weed my whole personality for a long time.
Damn.
And, then like 24 rolled around. I had like my first panic attack on it, and was like, You turned on me.
Yeah, dude. I never enjoyed it. I always got too anxious.
Man, couldn't go back after that. And my dad thought I was moving out here for weed because I had gotten arrested for it. Like,
you were selling in high school?
No, in college.
Oh,
but like 15 years. No, that's not true. Like a few years prior, he knew that I was always into pot. And so he thought that that's why I was moving out here. And I was like, it's decriminalized in Connecticut. I don't even smoke anymore because it gave me a panic attack. Like, I am not uprooting my whole life for legal pot. But that's literally what he thought. I mean, like, that's all he was telling himself. And I was like, I promise you, it's not that. And I just had like a one-way ticket in a duffel bag. I was just getting away from a toxic ex-boyfriend that he didn't even know I had. So I was like, I swear it's not the pot.
Damn. Well, you didn't feel like he would understand about the ex-boyfriend or anything, or he didn't want to know about the relationships?
They never asked.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't really. I mean, he was always like in New York. So they would commute into the city for work. And so he was always like gone before I woke up and would get home around like 7 or 8.
Did you take public transport or did you drive?
Yeah, he would take the train, take the Metro North in, and my mom traveled a lot for work, like internationally. So a lot of times she was out of the country like once a month. Yeah.
The American lady was going international.
She was going everywhere. Yeah. And it was.
She's still with us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
just crippling alcohol addiction. No,
yeah, she's
that wasn't my words. I'm sorry.
She's coming out. She's coming out in a few weeks, actually, which would be the first time she's ever visited. But it's I don't know. If there's one thing I'll say, like, because I just get too comfortable, I think, and I try not to trauma dump, but it's like I've been in therapy since I was 15 and I've processed the shit out of this. It's not that things aren't triggering anymore, but it's like I do talk about things. And I noticed this when I started dating my boyfriend, that I'm just like, I can pretty casually talk about pretty traumatic stuff. And I don't think about the fact that that could be a lot for somebody to hear.
Yeah. You're just like, this is my life.
I'm like, yeah, like that is what it is. And we move on. And as difficult as it is, it's like she and I have like decent boundaries in place. Like I don't like, I know after
she hasn't visited in 10 years.
She hasn't visited. That's our boundary. It's literally
10 years.
But like, I'll see her at Christmas and everything's fine. It's like, just, I will know in the back of my head, like you are drinking, like we did the whole rehab thing and it didn't work. And it's like, we've done all the things. And I'm just like, I'd rather just have boundaries in place where I'm not constantly reminded that that's a part of it. Cause she is a perfectly fine lady.
Yeah. She's like, living her life. She's doing her thing.
I'm like, this is, everyone deals with things differently or has their own boundaries. My sister has a kid now and is extra protective of not having him exposed to it. And so I sometimes feel guilty that like I don't have to worry about that. Like I don't want kids. I don't have to worry. And I'm just like, I'm sorry that you have to be so much harder and affected by certain things because you have to be. And I would be the same way if I were you. But I'm not you.
I got my own shit. Yeah.
So yeah, I forget what I sidebarred from, but I feel like it's just, it's like I can jokingly be like, I mean, my opener now is like, my dad died and my mom didn't, like talking about like my bad year that I had. And it's like, it's like, I don't wish she was dead, but I'm like,
but it's funny.
It's funny. Like this is all. So yeah, you don't have to like apologize for any jokes about it because I'm like, it's so I'm so like it is what it is at this point where I'm just like, okay, like
so you can see the humor in it, things like that. It's helped you out with the comedy. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I know there's always the like classic, do you have to be traumatized to be a comic? But it's like, I mean, I'm definitely that.
Seems like I think
comedy
you have to be
has always been my defense mechanism my whole life, so I developed it very early.
I don't know if you have to be traumatized, but you have to be aware enough to make fun of the trauma or like to be able to comment on it to be funny, I think. Or just aware of life, I think, right? What's going on.
Just
it's
an observant
therapy
person.
At 15, that's interesting. And then the weed, you didn't think that was like a coping mechanism where they're like, hey, what's going on,
Honestly, like I think weed was just, I was trying to be
just
cool.
something to do.
Yeah. I had no identity for so long. I've been so many different people. I feel like I listened to the Grateful Dead, or I've always been like
the worst thing you've ever done.
I hate jam bands. Like
I don't like jam bands. Yeah.
And somehow for a portion of my life,
You
I was
dabbled.
pretending that I did. And like,
okay.
and it's, I mean, same with weed. It was like, I was probably getting more anxious than I was admitting, like at the time, but the big panic attack was later in life. But like, I was probably not enjoying it as much as I was acting like I was. It was just because I liked the friends that I made, and that's what we did. And
Yeah.
so I just
cultural
kept,
touchdown.
yeah, just rolling with it.
Well, did
But
something happen and they're like, you got to get into therapy, or you were
I
just like,
begged my parents to
okay.
let me go to therapy. Yeah, they didn't. They almost sent me away to military school. They like gave me like 2
Whoa.
brochures and were like, pick one. Like, where do you want to go?
Were you a problem child or something? What was?
You know, I've done a lot of processing with that. And honestly, I was just a teenager. Like, I do not believe that there was anything like drinking, sure, like not really having a track or being good at school, sure. But like my parents just kind of opted out.
Okay.
And my sister and I, that's how we've kind of like, and my dad, closer to the end of his life, because he had dementia, like closer to the end of his life, he admitted that and he apologized. And it was great. I had great closure with him, and they always gaslit me about my anxiety. They didn't think it was real. And I was like, yeah. And my mom's an alcoholic. You're a ragehead. Like, neither of you are around. Like, I'm a parentified child where I'm raising my alcoholic mom who would cry if I didn't watch American Idol with her. And it's just like, so I begged them to I was like, please just let me go to therapy. And they were like,
interesting.
And they were like, they kept saying no. First, it was family therapists. So I have an older sister, but she was already away at college, and then things got kind of worse. And they were like, we'll go to a family therapist. So it was just the 3 of us.
They're like, we have to be there.
And I'm just watching my mom like lie and just be this like crazy narcissist, like sociopath. And I'm just like, and then I'm looking at these therapists believing every word she's saying. And I'm like, if this isn't going to work. So we went to 3 different family therapists. And then I was like, I need to go on my own.
Yeah.
And then my dad was like, you can go to a psychologist. As long as they don't put you on meds and make you a zombie, you can. So that was always what I was told, was that meds make you a zombie, and they're not. Like,
Yeah.
and so that was the agreement. It was like, as long as they don't put you on meds, sure, you can go. And then the rest was history. And I had that same therapist through college as well until I moved out here.
Yeah, I had the same therapist for like almost 10 years, and it was life-changing. It was so good for me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did you take to it right away, or do you think there was like a...
Well, once I was on my own, and she was also awesome, like, I was like, I totally like took to it like immediately. Like, she was like reviewed my college essay. Like, we were like pals. Like, we were tight. And yeah, that was great. And
it was like once a week you're going in and talking to somebody? Okay.
Yeah. And then it was really interesting because like my sister's older than me, and she just started going to therapy last year. And it's very interesting to watch her kind of newly process the reality of what our upbringing was. Whereas so I'm very, very grateful that I could handle it in lifetime, you know? So like, as much as I still had to work hard to like trust my gut and my intuition, because I was constantly telling myself I was wrong, or like that what was happening growing up wasn't happening. I can really tell now in seeing her process. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh, okay. I'm very glad that I have like
her go down the
17
path.
years of therapy under my belt.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. That's be interesting feeling, seeing your older sibling going through something that, you know, you were like, yeah, I've already been down that path. Like, I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I practice a lot of like restraint.
Martial arts. I get it.
Martial arts. And then I beat the silly out of her, and she totally gets it. But
and I'm like, I'm going to get a gun next.
Yeah. And then you just wait for the gun. I'm like, you better stop gaslighting yourself.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I will say what's actually interesting to me is seeing how a child coming into the situation can really...
Your nephew, niece?
My nephew,
like,
yeah.
Or your
and
sister's
I'm
kid?
fucking obsessed with him. He's the best. But it's like that... She's always had in her mind that she wanted to process this stuff and stop. Like, she always was very avoidant with anything going on. And it was really cool to see when she was finally like, fuck this. Enough is enough. I'm not going to like let him be exposed to the falling and the and the hot and cold and, you know, all of, and the random tantrums like of a child parent. Like, you know, when he's a child himself, she's like, this is how I need to mother. This is how I need to parent, is to like put these boundaries in place to not have him be exposed to those things. And I think that's awesome as hell, because there was a point in time where I was like, I've always been the black sheep. Am I gonna be the one that's not at Christmas now? Like, because my sister doesn't seem to be fighting this fight with me, even though she knows exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm just really glad that we're on the same page and that we can navigate it together.
So like so there was like some kind of you didn't want to come to Christmas if she was like on your mom's side kind of a thing, or like there was some kind of like disconnect of like your experiences?
Yeah, I mean, we did have different experiences for sure. And
yeah, because she was already out and older.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So I always felt like I was having to kind of convince her that it was as bad as it was.
Gotcha.
But she still had her own trauma and like saw what she saw, and it was just like
she's processing it in her own way.
But I thought that she was just going to avoid it forever, and then, you know, I was never avoiding holidays or anything. I always saw them, but I did think there at one point that there was a future where if I kept my boundaries and she never had any, I would just be continuously seen as a problem, and they'd be like, maybe we just don't have her around. So I'm just very glad that it didn't end up being that way.
No, that's very good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I totally like avoid my dad. Like, I don't really have much contact with him. We recently, the last year, I've had more contact with him than I have in like the past 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Because my grandfather died, his dad. So, we've had to have a little bit of contact on just communicating with some of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then he started coming to like family, like Christmas. He came to Christmas and I didn't go. Because I was like, I don't want to just engage with this.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of shit there, but it's just easier for me to not engage, because I know, one, I'm not going to get anything I want out of some kind of catharsis with him or anything. Mm-hmm. You know, it's never going to be what you want, mm-hmm. And it's just, I'd rather not deal with it then.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's where I'm at with it, and you know, it's funny you bring it up, because I'm like, oh fuck, that could be where I'm at. We'll see.
I really commend you, like being like, I wouldn't be, because I was regressing every year. Mm-hmm. I would feel like this teenage fucking brat. It was like there was always these triggers, and I was like, I'm out in Colorado. I don't question myself. I love the person that I'm becoming, and then I go back there, and all of a sudden I'm back to like feeling like I have to prove myself, feeling like I have to explain myself. And if there should have been times where I maybe just chose to sit it out instead of letting teenage me regress and make a scene. Like, you know, so it's like
make a scene.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I had to call out bullshit, and I still do. But
Capricorn?
What?
Capricorn?
I'm a Leo.
I think we talked about this. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like
water sign.
A Leo?
Yeah. Is that a water sign?
I think it's fire.
Oh, I can look it up.
I think, fire.
Yeah, fiery and charismatic.
Yeah. Leadership.
You don't need to connect with Poseidon, I guess.
Yeah,
or maybe that's why it's so important for you to get with the water. Yeah,
keeps
yin yang thing.
Grounded for sure.
But at least drowned underwater. No.
Drown the line. But it's interesting to see that my sister is in a phase where she's in a place where she does really need to actively call out the bullshit now. And I pick my battles. And I'm like, I can just tell myself that I know that was a lie. And like, and be like, that was a lie. I'm correct that she is a narcissistic lying addict. So, okay, that's another validating point. Just put it in. And don't get a rise out of the situation. And my sister is very much still needs to she needs the justice of calling out that something happened, and
she'll realize she's not going to get what she wants out of it anyway. And then, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a whole learning process.
So that's interesting to see, because like being the black sheep and being the one that was kind of pegged the like problem and the one that called shit out, for the tables to kind of turn and maybe that was fucked up that she did that. And she's like, well, I'm going to write her an email, or I'm going to tell her. And I'm like, we know she's not going to read that email, or we know that's not going to do anything. You don't have to do
that. Yeah, so wise, huh?
I mean, when I was younger, all I wanted to be was older because I found out that you could only get wisdom from experiencing life.
And a gun.
And a gun. We're not
wisdom is a gun.
I'll take the gun.
Something there.
I'll take the gun too, though.
Yeah. Wisdom are my bullets. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's funny. So you bring any of that fiery Greek energy to your relationship? Like you said, you make a scene. I was like, so I can imagine you getting a little energetic about certain things with your boyfriend. You bringing anything to that? Is that something you guys are working on? Or is that?
You could say
no,
that.
I like your fiery Leo
we
Greek
do balance
energy.
each other out very well.
You're talking with your hands here. You're hitting the mic stand, which is fine.
True.
I get it.
Big hand talker. I think that's also the New York, like big hand talker.
Connecticut.
Yeah, but Southern Connecticut.
Okay.
So
I don't know what to do. I'm just like,
we're going Yankees, not Red Sox. There's like a divider, but
Red Sox is Boston.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have teams, so like we have to either go.
Oh, you go one way or the other.
But
you're a Broncos fan through and through, huh?
I was a Pats fan for a long time.
She's laughed for 5 minutes. Everybody, I had to.
I'm not. I really only care.
You haven't adopted any Colorado teams?
I don't really. I never really adopted any teams. I don't really like
You're not
sports.
A big sports identity
I like
person.
hockey.
Okay.
Hockey's the one.
It's the most violent.
Because it's
interesting.
violent. I just love fights. I just love big fights. But I don't know. It's just always been a sport that I really enjoy. So I do like the abs. But I think more our stuff with my boyfriend is just that I've always been very avoidant of relationships entirely, especially with everything with my ex. So
abusive. Yeah.
Like a big trait.
Toxic. You said toxic. Sorry.
Yeah,
I said abusive. My bad.
It's okay. You're still correct. Both are true, but a big like coping mechanism that I have is hyper independence. Because just growing up, I didn't have people caring for me, so I was like, I have to do everything myself.
Yeah.
And so that's more where like I've worked on doing more like inclusive, like we talk. If there's like an issue ahead of us, I try not to say like, so I will do the X, Y, Z to fix it. Like I'd be like, so we
are gonna
address this. Yes, exactly. Stuff like that. So that's more what it is. And just
how long you been together?
Yeah, like a year and a half.
Okay. Yeah, it's getting serious then, huh?
Yeah, and we just moved in together.
Whoa.
So I think that's very helpful because I think between my hyper independence and my ADHD, and I have very disassociative abilities and properties, and there would be times because of our work schedules, if I didn't see him for like 1 or 2 days, it was like I was already like, boyfriend who? Like,
wow.
And that has nothing to do with him.
That would make me very insecure.
Yeah, those are things that I have to deal with, of being like, you have a very loving person in your life, and like it's more like a protection in the sense that I'm like, I can start villainizing or like talking myself out of scenarios very easily if it seems like they're gonna like not work out anyway. Yeah. And so I could start telling myself why this relationship wouldn't work out anyway. And it's like, it's just because it's been you're gonna see him tonight and everything's gonna be good. Yeah, but we our schedules are that competing that like that it was like we needed living together to even just have
comedy's always
those moments
calling you.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes away from the time you could be spending with your partner, and that's always hard for me. So I can't imagine.
It is. Yeah, it's hard, but it's also like he has his shit too. Like he's also in school. So like, and he bartends on top of his apprenticeship.
Young
so
guy,
like,
huh? He's in school?
He's in.
Or is he, late going to master's degree later?
Well, he's getting, he's in school to become an electrician.
He's getting his GED. No, that's great. Like a trade. That's cool.
Yeah. So his apprenticeship is really a full-time job.
Yeah.
But he's getting paid like an apprentice until he gets his journeyman card through school. So he still works.
It's a whole thing, yeah.
He still bartends twice a week. And so that's
where at?
He's at Illegal Pete's.
Whoa.
Yeah, go see him.
I just heard the owner there on a podcast recently.
Pete himself.
Yeah. He said he like sent out some email or something that said like they should be thankful to have their jobs. Did he?
Oh, yeah, I've heard it all. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know about this?
Mm-hmm.
and he was really trying to talk it down in that
Of
podcast.
course he was.
And I was like, what a fucking asshole, dude.
It's not what it used to be.
Yeah.
All the quality has like gone down. They're like outsourcing so much. They don't make stuff in house, and it's like it's just changed. And it's like that's fucking corporate.
That's how it goes.
That's corporate across the board, even if it's the food industry.
And I can't wait to sell out with my ice cream. So
yeah, well, people are really supporting local business now. So go out there, post up right outside Little Man.
Dude, I mean, part of me is like, I feel like their quality has dropped off, and that's why I'm like,
really?
I think I used to work for them a little bit during the pandemic.
Okay. So yeah, across the board.
Yeah.
Just
hard times out there, huh? Well, sorry, I didn't want to get too much in your boyfriend's. I do think it's interesting though, so I thought that was
it's fine. I mean,
don't want to call him out. We never said his name, so we don't say where he works. So but we're not trying to blow up his spot.
Because then like Mondays can be comedy for me, or like when I was training heavily, the Monday nights were when I would be up in Boulder, and so it works. It works that we have those times that we both can do things in the evening that serve like our individual goals, but living together has made it like infinitely better to just, even if it's just see each other for a couple hours, it's like
that person's there, you're coming home to each other.
Yeah,
that's very sweet.
So
you still in the honeymoon phase? I mean, because I think that sounds so sweet to me. I was like, yeah, that's so awesome. I mean, I love seeing my wife and all that stuff too, but it's just, I don't know, just the freshness of a young relationship. It's like, it's exciting and it's fun, it's a good place to be in. Or does it, maybe I'm forgetting all the insecurity, because I did feel insecure when we were first dating and stuff like that. And
I know. I feel like we're still in that like fun honeymoon. And what I will say is that I always had a bone to pick with people that say like, when you know, like I just knew. I'm like, so you had no trauma. Like, because I feel like it took 6 months, 8 months, maybe even a year to truly feel safe, to truly be like, you can let go of that little guard, you can let go of that, like you can believe him, like you can, like it takes a lot. So like I feel like we're very much in like still a like
that's great,
fresh, exciting, like new.
Yeah, because I was like, it just took me a long time to not feel like, oh, we had an argument, this is like she's gonna break up with me,
right? I
like
thought
that took me a long time.
Our relationship enders, and it's like, no,
sometimes
we fight.
I still felt like, is this
was it too far? Was that the one? Was that the one? Yeah,
but no, it's yeah, there's some insecurity that comes with it, but it's also it's great. I like you're happy.
It's
it
safe
seems
to
like
feel.
Good. Yeah,
it's safe to like feel different feelings and know that you're still gonna be okay.
Yeah. So when did comedy come in? When were you like, I'm gonna get up at an open mic? Or someone like, hey, you're funny.
I feel like I wish I didn't have such like heady responses to everything, because like I always try to like keep things fun and light, and I'm just it's not my strongest suit. But
just bring the mic a little closer to your face.
Is this good?
No, yeah. It's just we're getting comfortable, which is great.
Yes.
It's getting a little farther.
My posture's that's
great.
how I know I'm like sinking in. But I knew I wanted to do comedy for a really long time. But when you've got your shit, you're just telling yourself like, I can't do that. Like I can't like, and it was about 9 years ago, I had this friend who was doing stand-up, and so I would just go to mics.
You're not naming names?
He doesn't even live here anymore. We're not even friends but anymore. But it was just like, I was just going around mics with him. Like I was just like, this is so cool. I love it. Yeah. I love shooting the shit outside and smoking cigarettes and just like riffing. But I never went on stage. And he was like, I got into comedy because my friend just put me on a list and didn't tell me, and I just had to go up there, and I'm going to do that to you. And as soon as he said that, I stopped going to any mics with him. Like that was it. It was a hard line of like I
stopped trusting.
Well, and that's where this all begins. Oh. But yeah, he and I wrote a little because I was like, well, just in case he does do that. But the anxiety overpowered everything, and I was like, maybe just stop going with him so that you don't have that fear. And I mean, it was crazy. It was like I was going to like the basement of Kinga's and seeing like Christy and Janae like at a mic, and then so seeing them like in the scene
Christy
now,
Buckley.
Yeah, just being like, whoa, like full circle moment of like everyone starts somewhere. And but yeah, I stopped going, never thought about it again. And then when the pandemic hit and my dad was also diagnosed with dementia, it was very like, what is anything? Like, what matters? Like, what is going on right now?
Yeah.
And I was eventually like, when was the last time that I was actually happy? Like, when
the basement Kingas was your answer?
And it was
Oh my
outside,
God.
ripping outside Kingas. But I was like, I gotta find my people. Like, I gotta I've been just disassociating and like not really like, and I just was like, you have to do it. Like, you have to like just rip the Band-Aid off. And I will say there was also this part of me that I knew I would become fucking obsessed with it, and I wouldn't be able to like undo anything. Once I was going, I was going to be going, and that scared me too. And I think that also pushed it off a bit. But once I did my first mic, it was like, okay.
First mic was where?
At Rover.
Okay.
And Phil Corridor was guest hosting, and I've told him this story, but he did this thing where he made every comic that signed up go stand in a line and do one joke.
Yeah, I remember this.
And I was like, but I only have 3. Like, I can't do one just to, and I was like, this isn't happening. Like, they can't do this, right? This isn't how a mic works. And
yeah, fortunately, some people think they can do whatever they want.
And then we did that, and I was like, so I was like, okay, that's kind of funny. Like, that was the first experience, and it terrified me. But I also, Alec Flynn was there, and he could see that I was like feverishly like writing in my book, and he was like, oh, are you trying comedy? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, welcome to hell. And I was like,
interesting.
I was like, are you a high school bully from a 90s? Like, I was like, are you gonna give me a swirly? Like, what kind of energy are you bringing to this right now? Like,
that is pretty accurate.
I just kind of like laughed at it. I was like, I know exactly who you are. But it was just funny because I was like, yeah, I mean, you're in the scene and you start, just getting to know people, and it's just, now they're pals, or, you just aren't really affected by them. And it's fun to look back now and be like, that you're only new at something for so long, and it feels earth shattering. It feels like the worst thing ever, but it's like, that newness goes away. Like, it's like, live in the anxiety and like the push that makes you want to keep going, don't get comfortable.
Riding that wave of
Yeah,
anxiety, like you did with weed. Huh?
Ride the high. Yeah.
You're finding different ways to get that anxiety.
Find your other highs. Yeah.
Unless Phil's done that more than once, I remember that night. I remember being like, I'm not doing this.
That's so
I'm
funny.
leaving. And I left.
I sat there. I refused to get up for like, I mean, probably it was only like 20 seconds, but it felt like 10 minutes where I was just like, this isn't really happening, right? Like, no one's really going to go form this line, right? And then they did, and I was like, I can't believe this is happening.
Well, I mean, would you do that now? You'd be like, this is a waste of my time. I need to go get more stage time. That's how I felt.
If I actually had shit to like run and I wasn't just there to be like, I'm getting a rep in or I'm trying to hang, I'd be like, okay, well, fuck it. If this is how I'm like, need to run this new bit, fine. But if it was, that they can carry different purposes for you sometimes of like,
Phil was wrong to do that.
What you
I've never forgiven him is what I'm getting at. So.
No, I thought, it was just funny. And I love that how much he gets a rise out of people.
He does.
I find it very amusing.
He likes getting a reaction. Yeah. Awesome. Well, we do have some lightning round questions that we'll end on. Okay. All meant to be in fun. Okay.
Can you tell how fun I am? I'm so fun.
Yeah, this is great. I've been enjoying it. I hope you have been as well.
Yeah.
All right. Who do you think you are?
Gal doing her best.
What makes you so great?
My humor.
What motivates you?
Validation.
Are you an artist?
Yes.
How do you like to be validated? Like words of affirmation, gifts, physical what's
Honestly,
your love
just
language,
like things
I guess?
Working out. Because I'm not good at trusting my gut. Out. So I'm like, I tell myself I can do something, but it's not until I do it and it works out that I'm like, you were right. You're valid. It's not healthy, but
things working out. So getting the outcome you want, or
getting booked for the first time, or getting the high school job that I got. I was like, oh, I really do teach. I do teach. This is validating. Like this, like, because I'm very short-sighted. Like, I don't know if that's ADHD or trauma, but like I'm not long-term oriented. I can't really see far in the future because I'm always in like survival mode. So I don't truly know what is going to happen ever. I mean, none of us do in theory, but it's like,
I mean, that's reality.
I really don't even know what like success maybe even necessarily is in the thing I'm doing. But then when I feel like just a moment of like that worked out, like it's validating to me.
Are you an artist?
Yes.
What
you
is
already
art?
asked that.
Did I?
Yeah.
Are you an artist?
Yeah. What is art?
Yeah, what is art?
Art is expression in whatever way.
Does art imitate life or does life imitate art?
Life imitates art.
So you think art came first?
Yep.
Chicken or egg situation?
Yep. I think we've got a lot of people that like to give themselves too much credit. And I don't think a lot of people like to actually admit being inspired. I think people like to pretend like they're the first at everything, and they should release that ego a little and actually admit that they're inspired by something that allowed them to create what they did.
What was the last piece of art or media or anything that inspired you?
I'm not a huge art, like in the physical medium way. There was a song that I recently listened to called Hold the Girl, and it's like, it just came on, it was like I was listening to my like Sapphic playlist, and it was like an artist I hadn't heard before, and it was all really about like talking to her like inner child. And I was running, and as I was running I started to cry because there was a part in it where it's kind of the classic, like, yeah, that one, the classic, you bring in the gospel in the back like at a point, and the clapping and everything, and I don't know, it just all pulled me in.
Yeah, it's like getting you pumped.
Yeah.
This video is cool.
She's very creative, yeah.
Oh yeah, when you did the music video show a couple months ago, you picked that Crazy by Britney Spears.
Yeah.
I've been listening to it like almost every workout since. It's like in my rotation again. It's so good. I think it's my favorite Britney song.
Yeah.
It's because it's fun. It's funner than Oops, I Did It Again or the other one. What's the other big one?
Baby One More Time.
Hit Me Baby One More Time. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I think it's got like a funner energy. And then the music video is great.
Yeah. And I loved the I love
Sabrina,
that it's related to
the Teenage Witch.
That was, yes. I loved the conversation of just like, yeah, in that time there was always like a cameo from whoever had like,
because they use it for movie. Yeah,
when the movie was coming out, and it's
so
the whole thing brought me back to a place. I loved doing that show. That's a great premise for a show.
What gives you the right?
Believing I can.
Your belief.
Took long enough.
What's the most important question you can ask yourself?
Who do I think I am?
Which is a girl trying her best.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for reminding me.
What's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Coffee.
Coffee. Wow. You want the stimulant.
I wish there wasn't this. Like, I wish you could use decaf, and it
probably could.
I just love the flavor, and I always want more stuff than just like, I would want like almond or something in it too, like almonds.
Because that's really how I want my coffee, is mostly sugar and cream with just a little bit of coffee.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, and I'm not a coffee drinker really, so I'm like, this is
more of an ice cream coffee.
This is how
eater.
I want.
Yeah.
There was a whole part of my life where I was just drinking black coffee because I thought that made me cool. Didn't even like it.
I do it mostly because there's no calories and I need the caffeine.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to caffeine.
That's fair.
Thank you. What's your problem?
What isn't my problem?
That's a good answer.
Yeah. I'm trying not to make other people's problems my problems. That's the big thing.
Other people's problems are your problem?
I absorb a lot. I'm a fix. I very much am like trying to.
And you're hosting a mic. That has to be so much weird energy coming at you all the time now.
I can feel every eye on me when I haven't put them up or I haven't and I'm just like, we'll get to you, but
we'll get to you.
It's just inevitable where it's like, even if the show has been going for 30 minutes, someone will be at the bottom of the list and they'll just come over and be looking at it, and I'm like, it's been 30 minutes. Like, if you were 18, like number 18, and it's been 30 minutes, you still wouldn't be up even if I was going in list order. Right. So it's just, that's a lot.
Even if I was going in list order.
Well, you know how it
No,
goes.
yeah, you got to curate a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like that's
especially
important.
in that room. Like it's small. Like, you know, it's like you have a really captive audience. Like so, but yeah, I absorb a lot of other people's energies because I grew up having to be hyper aware of like if my mom was drunk or not, how to not trigger her so she would drink, even though I learned that, you know, obviously I had no control over that. And then my dad's anger. So I've always been very like, I can feel when any, like.
You found a way to have to deal with all of that all over again every week. Way to go.
Yes. And that's healing. That's my problem.
A lot of layers there. Pie or cake?
Ooh, pie or ice cream cake, but I wouldn't pick regular cake.
Thank you. Interesting. Yeah.
That used to be my every birthday ice cream cake.
Yeah, dude.
Carvel, I fucking love that shit.
I like the Dairy Queen one.
I never had the Dairy.
It's got this like layer in the middle. It's just like caramel and like Oreo cookie bits.
Damn.
It's very good. The top part was vanilla, the bottom part's chocolate, so you get both worlds there.
So Carvel does the same thing, and they have the cookie crunch in the middle. And then
Carvel is.
Well, I guess that was an East Coast.
Yeah, I was gonna
thing. Yeah, we didn't have many Dairy Queens, but we had Carvel. But they are in the frozen section. But we would get them like at like the actual brick and mortar. But I think they're out here. It's been a minute.
The name sounds familiar, but yeah, I have to.
I think I need to go get an ice cream cake.
Hell yeah. Go-to pie, you go fruit or custard pie?
Fruit.
What fruit?
Raspberry. But it's only but it's this one place in Massachusetts that I always think about. I don't really see it a lot, but I do really
raspberry's
enjoy
not
it.
a common pie flavor, I don't think.
But it's my favorite fruit, so.
Interesting.
And like favorite fruit flavoring. Like I love if like raspberries are in something, like ice cream, like little crumble raspberry swirl situation.
Yeah. I hear you. All right.
Big ice cream gal.
Yeah,
I really have to hammer that home that I wasn't lying. I have my preferences.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I thank you so much. Where can people find you? Anything where you want them to find you? Got anything coming up? This should be on in about a week or two.
In a week or two. Oh, I'm doing the Bear Show on the 4th. Roast Battle on the 4th.
What's the Bear Show?
The the nude show that Wellman runs.
Oh, you're doing a nude show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, doing that.
I
don't even know why I would plug it actually because they usually
on this show. Doing comedy.
Yeah, this one's a real personal test for myself, big milestone. But
just to just prove to yourself you can.
Yeah.
You're like working out more. Or anything to prep.
It's actually
just like because I'd be like, I'll do it next year.
I love that you said that because I literally booked it 2 months out because I had so many plans to be like, I'm gonna go to the gym X amount of times.
I mean, that's my first thought.
I'm gonna eat so well, it's crazy. I even was like, I'm gonna do these certain exercises, and this has been the most chaotic month since moving in with my boyfriend that I have worked out the least I ever have.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on a move.
And I'm like, I feel like that's just a sign. It's like, that was just a little fuck you from the universe of like, oh, if you do all, like, you're saying it's in the name of body acceptance, but you have to do all these things, so you're going to push it out. Like, no.
Push it out. That's so funny.
Like, true body acceptance is doing it whenever the fuck, because it's always like your body.
Do you feel like that's a good vibe? I mean, do you feel that vibe from the show is body acceptance?
Yes, I love it. I saw it beforehand. I went beforehand, and it's phenomenal. And most of the crowd is naked too.
Oh wow.
So it's like, it's all for them. Like, it's like and you kill. I mean, like it doesn't take much to do well in that room because they're just like, it's so cool that they're like getting to, because it's the whole kink community, and they're like, yeah, we love comedy too. Like, come on our level. And like, you know,
the premise of the show is that the comics are nude, and then the audience can be nude as well.
Yeah. And I'd say the one I was at, it was probably like 85% nude.
So you can choose not to be nude. Can the performers choose not to be nude? Because you can't make the audience go nude.
No, that's all their choice. Yeah. But because
the comics have to be nude.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. And then just go to roast battle after, like it's a normal day. And then yeah, I guess that would be like the closest things I have coming up.
Crazy.
And Blind Tiger, but I forget.
So is it one person on the show? How many people are on this nude show? Just like how many
like
nude
a normal
bodies
lineup,
you see?
like maybe like 5.
5? He's getting people every month to do this.
It's kind of nutty.
Is it like the same 5 people or like?
I do think there's some people that he
Like
cycles
it?
through. Yeah, that actually like enjoy it.
Yeah. You're like, because I'm not.
I'm like, this is a bucket list thing for sure, and then we're done. We're not
just to say you did, huh?
We're not coming. I mean, it's not just.
It's an experience.
It's
I get
to prove
it.
to myself. I mean, I had eating disorders for 15 years, so I'm like, you gotta get. And I was telling you that I've gained weight recently because of like getting into like lifting and.
Oh yeah.
So
we didn't even talk about lifting. God damn it.
I know
Dude, I love it.
It's been really cool, and I love feeling strong, but my clothes don't fit. And it's like, that was my whole style. That was my
you're
whole
like skinny. You're like just skinny body.
I was skinny body, but also not healthy. It was like, I was mind blown that like I was gaining so much weight, but I was like, you also had an eating disorder. Like, so not only are you like getting healthy in the right ways, you weren't healthy before. So there's a lot of things that shifted all at once that I just like wasn't being real with myself about.
What was the impetus to start lifting? You just, when you're moving, you're like, I got to be able to move these boxes.
Yeah.
Self-defense thing. And you're like, stronger would be nice.
It was really just, I found a gym that I've always been intrigued by getting stronger and by lifting, but I was so intimidated. And I also have an extremely bad relationship with gyms because I used to over-exercise or associate it with, like that was part of the disorder.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've been going to gym since I was 13. So it was like, I could not imagine ever lifting.
But you were always doing like cardio. You weren't.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the mindset back then.
Yes.
Like
yes. 100%.
Skinny.
Yeah. And then I found a all women and queer gym. It's called Vibe Gym, and I love them. And I got this like targeted ad about like a six week like kind of trial thing where it would be cheaper. And I was like, well, I can do something for 6 weeks.
Sure.
And then
what they have you doing? Full body stuff?
Yeah.
Deadlift.
Yeah. Deadlift, squats, thrusts, like it's all, but they have a bunch of different stuff too. But like that's what's
talking
appealing.
About you.
That's what's appealing to me was like, I wouldn't be able to do this stuff anywhere else. I need this safe space to do these things. And I don't think I would.
What's your favorite thing you find? You like deadlift? Do you find like you're stronger than you thought you were or something? My wife likes deadlift. You know, she likes bench.
I think the deadlift, the bench,
the bench is just classic. You know, you're like, this is what everyone does. So like you want to feel strong doing it. You know?
And I failed like pretty early. Like I like failed out.
You went to failure?
And went to failure.
Scary.
And I was like, this is exactly what, it's such a mind game. So I wasn't pushing myself because I felt embarrassed. I felt scared. I was like, I don't want this to happen again. And so even like pushing through that like was big, and now I really like it. And
you getting your protein in? I mean, these are things how much protein you eat a day? How many grams do you get in a day?
I don't know. I just know that I added a protein shake to my life.
Okay, there you go.
That's
just one scoop. Is that like 25 grams, or are you
2 scoops is
50
23
grams? Okay,
23. It's like a low cal.
It's like a chill one. It's like a chill protein powder. And
I found out that I have a sensitivity to whey, and so when I was first doing a whey protein shake, I was getting really bloated, and I didn't know why. And then I found out that it was because of that. So I just avoid it altogether now.
You go for like a pea protein, vegan protein.
I bet it's a mix of it.
Yeah, it's probably.
It just said plant, and I was like, okay, so I know there's no whey in it.
Then, yeah.
But yeah,
I think it might be soy, but
yeah, pea is a big one. And I take like aminos like after my workouts, like to not be super sore. Because when I first started there, I couldn't walk. Like I was like, this is crazy. Like I'm sore for a week.
It's
like
great.
This is
you're
really
working these muscles
wild.
out. You know, you've never done it before.
Yeah. So it's.
Did you have to push? I mean, how did you push yourself through that pain period? Because I mean, that's where most people stop. They're like, I'm not doing this.
Because it was a 6-week thing.
You'd paid for
accountability.
You threw your hat over the fence, kind of a thing.
I was like, I don't really have a choice, but I remember reaching out to her and being like, oh, I can't even walk. What the hell? Like, and so we just talked. I figured it out. But
she's like, your body's going through changes.
Yes.
You literally ripped your muscles apart the other day.
Have some protein about it, and you'll be fine. And I'm like, okay, I'm fine. But being strong, it was all.
That's great.
And I don't. another reason I don't know like the protein or anything, like, or know my intake is like anything tracking is kind of triggering.
So, that has to be hard.
But I was like, okay, well, I will be cognizant of adding.
Didn't mean to
more
trigger you. I'm sorry. I was just like,
oh no, you're not
these
currently
things
in the
excite
moment.
Me, so
yeah, no, you're not. It's not currently in the moment triggering, but that's just why I don't do it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be able to like bring my PA into the mic and like hold it myself and not have people ask me if I need help to like lift that. And I was like, that's a win for me, that's easier to hold. And just seeing weight go up is like,
or like seeing the muscle on your bike. Can you see a difference in like your arms and your shoulders? And
I think I can now.
That's very motivational to me.
Yeah. I think also just being able to see a literal number that's getting higher that I can
the weight going up.
Is cool. Cause I tried to act too cool for it for a long time. Too cool for it. Cooler, better. Like, I don't know. I was just trying to act like I didn't care.
Yeah.
When really it was just that I was intimidated as fuck.
Yeah,
so it's cool to care and
it's cool to lift, everybody.
It's cool to care and it's cool to lift. Being strong is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
I like it.
All right. Well, appreciate you coming on. Like I said, I know we're trying to wrap this up here. Yeah, you said where people can find you. Those are your shows, the Bear Show or whatever. Sorry, I didn't mean to say whatever. I was just like, I wouldn't do it. That's my issue. I usually let the guests sign us off however they see fit. You know, the culmination of this whole experience for you. No pressure. I will say Wakanda forever. Be excellent to each other. And however you want to sign off.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.